NewGenGamers.com.
So this is Castlevania from Konami.
I personally love this title. This was one of my favorite series back in the day.
So we talk about Konami. Here's one of the games that solidified them on the home market. And unlike a lot of the other games that we've looked at so far, this was not an arcade game. This was a home game exclusively. So this set a new standard. This was kind of their take on the platforming genre that had come about because of Super Mario Brothers, but with a much darker tone. And you get a whip. Anything with a whip is at least like 3 to 5% cooler.
Dun, 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 dun.
Got some catchy music.
I was just mentioning Indiana Jones.
Ah.
Since you mentioned a whip.
Fair enough.
Because I'm in Indiana Jones fever mode lately. Because of the new movie coming out.
Ray went to Egypt recently and caught a flu.
Yes.
Trying to find the remnants of the original filming of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
Anyway.
George Lucas has a director's cut somewhere. Yeah, I know. I'm just killing stuff to kill stuff.
Now, another cool thing with this game that we mentioned, there was a gameplay aesthetic in Super Mario Brothers, is the hidden paths and items and walls and such. So there's a lot of different areas that you can explore by pouring holy water on them or smashing through them, such as right there. You find some meat that'll heal some health that you don't know that's there unless you just randomly hit that wall with your whip. So these games offered a lot of exploration that wasn't available in earlier consoles.
Now the big thing I like about this game is multi-tiered levels.
Yes.
How it's not just straightforward, it's up and down, like you're completely exploring a castle.
Yeah.
And I love that feeling in the game where it feels like you're going through it instead of just around it.
Yeah, it's a lot of exploration, a lot of backtracking, which would become synonymous with later Castlevania games. And we're looking at Castlevania 1 here. Castlevania 2 for the NES was a radical departure from this game and played almost like an action RPG. There was a lot of fetch quests that you had to do and item collecting, and it was a really interesting title. And it was way different. And then Castlevania 3 was essentially like this, and as was every other Castlevania game, they pretty much followed this mold. Castlevania 2 was kind of the dark horse and was radically different. And Ray tore that shit up.
Yeah, notice that until I got to the bat, I didn't take any damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Castlevania.
Ray
Except for the fucking Medusa heads.
Oh, those are nasty. Those Medusa heads are definitely treacherous. Here we see the map world again.
Now, mentioning iconic characters, those Medusa heads are also remembered as some of the most evil characters ever created.
Yeah, you mentioned the Medusa heads to a gamer and they will cringe. Anytime you run into a Medusa head, it's never a pleasurable experience.
Same thing with Ninja Gaiden birds.
Yeah.
Those were evil too.
And as far as iconic characters, the Castlevania series has created its own lore. And with each game, it follows the family line of the Belmonts. So each game is a different family member in the Belmont line that is trying to kill Dracula. And there's been probably, close to 24 Castlevania games by now?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of them, especially since they started pumping them out after the GBA took off.
Yeah, they've been on virtually every console, but they were born and bred. Oh,
Medusa
here
heads.
they are. But the Castlevania series was born and bred on the NES. So there's the Medusa heads that we were cringing about a minute ago, because they're very unpredictable.
Thankfully, because I've mastered this game.
But this game isn't unpredictable like ghosts and goblins that we looked at last level. That's just unrelenting. This is a lot more about timed jumping. Speaking of which, you have to time your jumps.
Yeah.
And as you see, since he died, he lost his cool whip. There he gets a better one. So you can level up your weapons in this game, but once you die, you lose those power-ups.
Yeah, which really sucks if you die right before you go into a boss, by the way.
And you always get your a second power-up, which there you got a little sword, which you have a limited use of.
Yeah,
but you can.
I'll use it right there.
But they're usually a little more effective than your whip, or it can be used in specific areas.
Like the axe I was using against the bat in the first level. You find the secret strategies, and a lot of the bosses have a weakness to one certain special weapon.
Yeah, so once you know the levels, you'll try and get the specific secondary weapon that you're going to need for that level. And so if you see, one that you don't need, you won't pick it up. So this game brought a lot to the table, and
really put Konami onto the map for the most part. I mean, before Castlevania, what other games were Konami known for? Was space shooters.
Yeah, and
it proved that they could branch out. Yeah.
Yeah, this was definitely a home game. This was made for the home system, and was a great design. It was, as I said, essentially.
Ha!
Wow, that was
I
neat.
cheated.
Yeah, that was neat. It was essentially, the same design as Super Mario Brothers, but it plays very well. And we'd see a lot of that. Super Mario Brothers found a great balance, and so every game developer came up with their version of that, and we're going to look at a lot of those versions as we go here today. And you were crushed.
Yes. Well,
so, an awesome game again. Let's move on to a tubular game.
Very tubular. Alright, everybody. Let's take a look at an Ultra Games classic, Skate or Die.
So let's talk about who Ultra Games is.
Ultra Games,
also known as...
Ultra Games actually is a subsidiary of Konami. They created the Ultra Games license due to Nintendo's you can only make 5 games per year policy.
Yes, Nintendo wanted to control the flow of games released on their system, I guess as quality control, to say that,
your energy drink is bubbling.
My energy drink seems to be running over on itself, and I don't know why that is. Can't be healthy, but it's double caffeinated, so it's got to be good.
How do you just start now?
So, let's go compete.
Let's go compete.
So, the companies created subsidiaries that were wholly owned by the original company, but it allowed them to get around Nintendo's only 5 games per year policy by having a separate company releasing them.
Yeah.
And over time, Nintendo would let loose on that a little bit, especially once Sega came along and let companies do what they wanted.
Six great issues plus 6 free strategy guides on a hot new game. That's twice the power for still $15. Wow, call now.
NewGenGamers.com